Today we're going to share a mystery so perplexing that even the top covert intelligence agencies in the world were baffled. But before we get into that story, which is one of the strangest you'll ever hear of, viewer discretion is advised. Plus, if you are on the hunt for the most intriguing and mind-blowing crime stories, you have landed on the right channel because we feature stories weekly. So if you like that kind of thing, please shatter the like button and slam the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single riveting story. Okay, now let's begin. On May 19th, 2018, an ordinary-looking man with a gravelly beard stepped out of a safe house in Surrey, England. Though he didn't stand out in any remarkable way, he led a very unusual life as an officer of the Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA. Anthony was in field operations, which means he didn't sit in headquarters analyzing data, but rather was engaged in hands-on spy work. Think 007, but without the tuxedo and cocktail martini. On this day, Anthony had a mission and was following protocols. He jumped into his car, a Fiat that would blend into the rural countryside, and kept a good pace into London, where he planned to jump on the Eurotunnel and head to Paris for a meeting with an operative from MI6, Britain's equivalent to the CIA. Upon arriving in Paris, he followed procedure to avoid being followed and jumped on a bus, where he exited by the Eiffel Tower, circled for a half hour, and then caught a taxi to the 2nd arrondissement. There, he sat at a table covered in a red check tablecloth, munched on a baguette and some fine French cheese, surveyed his surroundings, and then left on another bus to his meeting point, a chic hotel with an outdoor swimming pool. The pool was in fact the meeting point for the operation. But, before taking a dip, Anthony checked in and followed standard counter-surveillance protocols. Then he changed into his swimsuit and ambled down a few flights of stairs in the stairwell before exiting to the pool area. As he did so, clouds above had formed. It was a dark and gloomy afternoon in Paris, and it appeared that the weather may break. Still, the meeting had to go on, and some light rain wasn't going to interrupt the plan Anthony and his British counterpart James had planned. As he dove into the pool, Anthony was alone, and he swam a few laps as any guest might. Soon, an athletic 6-foot-tall, slim Englishman jumped into the other end of the pool, and the two crossed paths a few times before finally ending up at the same south end together. To the maid who walked by and saw the two men swimming, nothing looked awry. As far as she was concerned, they were just another couple of guests who were enjoying a bit of exercise. But what she didn't hear during the 30 seconds that the two men were next to each other were the code words Anthony said to confirm the swimmer next to him was indeed James. "The birds are flying high up in the sky. What a day," he said, to which Anthony replied, "They will be back to their nest soon before the sun goes down." With those two brief sentences, the two men had verified each other's identities per the instructions they had received before setting out that morning. Anthony then reached under his swim shorts to untie the Velcro strap that had been holding a bolted steel cylinder with an encrypted message that was so sensitive it had to be hand-delivered to MI6. As had been previously agreed, the two men would swim another few laps before the handover was scheduled to take place. When the French maid in a black and white uniform walked by about 15 minutes later, her gaze naturally drifted towards the pool, but she was jarred into an alert state immediately. Both men were floating face down in the water, and a container floated next to them. She let out an involuntary scream, and it caught the attention of another guest who called the emergency services right away. When the dust had settled, back in Virginia and London, the top brass were left dumbfounded. What had happened to their respective agents? Had they missed something in their counter-surveillance? What could have caused their unseemly deaths? Did a rival intelligence service kill two birds with one stone? And if so, how? Were they poisoned? The only thing they could do was wait for autopsies to be performed, and when they were, the results astounded everyone. It was clear what caused the deaths of the two men, and the odds were so minuscule it's no surprise that none of their colleagues had theorized it. As the coroner came back with the results for each man, the same cause of death was blamed for each. What had happened in the window of time between when the maid first passed by and saw the men swimming and her second passing of the pool was the heavens had opened up above, and with them a storm that was accompanied by thunder and a lightning bolt. By sheer fluke of fate, the 300 million volts of electricity coursing through an average lightning bolt had found the steel cylinder Anthony was holding as he was passing it to James. The two men were struck simultaneously, leading to burn marks on both their hands, and surrounded by a pool of water that was instantly electrified. Both were essentially fried and died instantaneously. The only thing left intact following the bolt of electricity was ironically that steel cylinder that bobbed up and down in the water for a while, before slowly sinking to the bottom of the pool, where its contents remained sealed in an encrypted lock, ultimately to be returned to CIA headquarters. To this day, the message inside remains unknown and classified as top secret. So, that'll do it for today's story, but if you haven't already, tell us what you think of swimming outdoors when a storm rolls past. Would you risk it? And what do you think was contained in the message? Plus, don't forget, if you haven't already done so, to smash the like button and subscribe for more riveting crime stories.